What is up, guys? My name is Harry Rice, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a brand new video for 25 Days of Harry. This is day 5, I believe. Today, as you can tell by the title, I am finally doing the top 10 most hated movies list. I've teased it at the end of so many videos and live streams in the past, and I figured, hey, you know what? Let's finally do it. Let's finally reveal what my top 10 most hated movies are. If you've looked on my letterbox, you guys might have an idea of some of my least favorite movies or most hated movies. Keep in mind, the first 3 to 4 entries on this list aren't movies that it's like, oh my god, I absolutely hate these. They're just like, I dislike them, you know? These are my most disliked movies. I don't really hate any of these movies except for the last 2, really. I'm using the title most hated because it's a catchy title. It's a really good title, I think. So enough babbling around, enough rambling and whatever. Let's just get right into it. And we're starting off with a very, very controversial take. Number 10, my most hated film is Step Brothers. I actually have notes here. I'm gonna pull those up. I think this movie is terribly overhyped. It is massively overhyped. I've seen a lot of people say it's their favorite comedy of all time, and it's incredibly funny. But then I look and see that's an Adam McKay film. It's either Adam McKay or a Judd Apatow. I'm pretty sure it's Adam McKay. And then I think, no. Because Adam McKay does not make good movies. The only decent movie he's made is The Big Short. It's terribly overhyped. It is not funny. This movie is not funny. I think I got through maybe 35 minutes of it, and I'd laughed maybe once, and it's because John C. Reilly just makes me laugh naturally. It's a waste of John C. Reilly's talent. That's another point I had on here. But it's really not funny. Genuinely, I think I got 35, 40 minutes into the movie, and then at that point, I was watching it with my best friend because we always watch movies together. I was like, hey, I can't do it. I can't last the rest of this movie. We need to watch something else. And genuinely, or I think she suggested, like, hey, you're not into this. Let's just watch something else. And like I put here, it was so bad I couldn't even finish it. This is the one movie I think on the list that I've not finished. Let me look real quick. Yeah, this is the one movie I've not finished. That's why it's so low on the list, because there's a slight chance it gets better the longer it goes, which I don't think so. There's really no direction of the film. There's really no direction for the story. It's pretty much just these two guys live together, and they're man babies. That's pretty much the plot of the movie, and it's not funny. And I put it here: 2 grown men acting like man babies isn't funny when one of them is Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is good in some things. I really like him on SNL. The skits I've seen that he's been in, I really like him in Elf. But this movie does not work as a Will Ferrell movie, because it doesn't feel like a Will Ferrell movie, you know? It doesn't feel like that. Plus that thing from the guys who brought you Talladega Nights, that tells you how good this movie can get, really. Yeah, it's really a waste of John C. Reilly's talents and kind of Will Ferrell. Kind of Will Ferrell's talents, because he does have talent. Jokes did not click with me. The jokes did not click in this movie at all. I thought that this was just, like I said, incredibly unfunny. Did not work. The acting was just kind of non-existent when it wasn't John C. Reilly trying to carry this movie. It's just not a really good movie at all. It's not great in the slightest. Avoid it. That's going to be my advice for all these movies except like 1 or 2 is just avoid it. Avoid it. This is one of the few movies I was very happy was stolen from me in the great DVD bargain bin stuff steal thingy thing of 2019. I don't even know what I'm saying. But the great DVD heist of 2020. All right. Next up, I'm actually going to pause real quick because I forget which direction I have to click on OBS, so I'll be right back in like 2 seconds. All right, yeah, so it is next. All right. All right, so I just tested it out real quick, and coming in at number 9 is Cars 3. This is a very weird movie to put. A lot of people are going to be thinking, Harry, why do you have Cars 3 on your list? What makes Cars 3 so bad? To me, it's the fact that it took something from my childhood, regardless of how bad it is, like the original Cars. I loved Cars as a kid. I grew up, I had a little basket that was just filled with Cars from the movie Cars. I had like 5 Lightning McQueens, like 3 Maters, Snot Rod. I had Sally. I think I had like 3 Ramones. I had a Flo. I had Luigi and Guido. I had a Sarge. I had everyone from the first Cars movie pretty much in car form. You know, I had the ones of, I think I had Lightning McQueen and Mater, where you put them underwater and they change color, and then you put them under again, or you put them under hot water, they change color, you put them under cold water, they change a different color. It was really, really cool as a kid to own those. And I love the original Cars movie. I don't know what I would think of it now. I haven't watched it in like a decade. Same with the second Cars movie. I enjoyed it. It wasn't amazing, but I liked the second Cars movie as a kid. I have them on DVD. You guys saw in the DVD collection. I really like the Cars films from when I was a kid. And so when I saw Cars 3 was coming out, I was like, okay, cool. There's a new Cars movie. It's not going to be great, but, you know, I'll check it out because I like the old Cars movies, you know? This poster especially got me incredibly invested into the movie because, you know, from this moment, everything will change. That was the tagline of this movie. From this moment, everything will change. And I was like, holy shit. And the trailer, the original teaser trailer for this movie, I think this is actually one of the, like, 3 movies, by the way, on this list that I grew up, like, not grew up, but I was, like, really hyped for. I was, like, actively tracking progress of the film as it was getting ready to come out. The other being later in the thing, and the video, obviously. But I was tracking, like, as soon as the teaser trailer came out, I saw so many people were like, oh my god, this movie's gonna be so good. And I was like, okay, let me check it out. And the teaser is just Lightning McQueen crashing. It's just him completely wrecking. And I was like, holy shit, they're really going to take Cars 3 in a more serious direction. And I thought that would have worked. I thought Cars 3 going in a more serious direction would have worked. Because everyone that liked Cars 15 years ago, or at this point, 2017, 12 years ago, is grown up. They're probably an adult like me, or 16, 15, whatever. I think putting it into a car in a more serious direction would have been great. Would have been really great, you know? But what do? They kind of mislead you. They kind of mislead you with this poster. By the way, if you see the little white stain on my shirt, that is toothpaste. Because surprisingly, believe it or not, I do brush my teeth. That is toothpaste. Some people are probably going to be pointing that out in the comments. And now everyone's going to be saying, oh, I wouldn't have noticed if you didn't point it out, whatever. But they mislead you with the ad. Making you think that this would be a more serious film than it would be. Because in the actual movie, all that happens is, first 5 minutes, it's like the first Cars movie. They make it like the first Cars movie. I am Speed, blah, 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 and all that. And comes out and racing. Unfortunately, they don't get Sheryl Crow. That would have been actually a pretty cool callback. But that happens. And then last lap, I'm pretty sure it is, boom, they have the big crash. They have the big wreck early in the movie, which is what I was expecting. And then they just kind of go into a regular Cars movie. It's like, oh, I'm thinking about retiring. Oh, no, you shouldn't. You got to do this thing, man. And then it's a Cars movie. It's a Cars movie, and it's not that good. It is not good at all. Then they bring in the new character, Cruz. I forget, whatever her name is, the yellow one. She she's very much a Mary Sue insert character. It feels like one of the writers just took this character that had potential. Bringing in a new car like that to replace Lightning McQueen would have been interesting had it been done in Cars 2, or even if they made Cars 3 in 2014, 3 years earlier. But it just feels like one of the writers took this character, made them perfect, and they can do nothing wrong. Even when they do something wrong, it ends up being good. It ends up being perfect. And taking this character and just, boom, push it in the story. I don't care if it doesn't fit, put it in there. It's not a good movie, and the character just doesn't add anything to the movie, and it's a really bad ending. Where Lightning McQueen's, he's racing, and he's blowing out tires, and he's losing vision or something like that. There's everything's fucking up on him. And on the last lap, or 5 laps to go or something like that, oh, I'm going out, you go in. It's no, I can't go in. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Okay, I'll go in. Goes in and wins the fucking race. And it's just, it doesn't work, because you know this character for maybe an hour, hour and a half. And even then, you don't attach yourself to this character I like how I'm talking about this fucking animated kids film like it's a legitimate movie when it's just a dumb thing to sell products. That's how much of a movie critic I am. I'll fucking analyze anything. Throw any movie at me, I'll analyze it in the comments. Do it, I dare you. But Cars 3, it's a really bad ending, and I don't know if they're gonna make a fourth Cars movie because there's apparently a Disney Plus series coming out. I don't know if they will make a fourth Cars movie. I think it depends on if that one's successful or not, because it's going to be coming out, I think, early 2022. But yeah, it butchers what Cars is. I mean, at its essence, it doesn't really, because it's just a movie that's meant to get celebrities in to attract adults, and for kids, just sell dumb little car toys to them. But still, like, when you're a kid, you know, you kind of like this type of film because, oh, it's very colorful and whatever. And then the third comes along and it's just, that was pretty bad. I don't know. Maybe I'll rewatch the first and second Cars movies. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do like what those guys do. Like we get drunk and watch Cat in the Hat 2003. That's a damn good video, by the way. I would absolutely recommend you guys check it out because it's a really, really funny series of videos they do. Maybe I'll do something like that, maybe. But yeah, overall, Cars 3, it's not good. Avoid it. Please. Number 8 is going to be a bit of a weird choice than I think what some people are going to be expecting, but it's one that I wanted to put here because it kind of makes sense to me. It's a movie I don't like, and it's a movie I wanted to talk about, and that is Scream 4. New Decade, New Rules was the tagline for this movie, and not really. Not really. There weren't really any new rules. The only new rule was, oh, this is a reboot, so you gotta change the rules, and then they don't really do anything to change it up. Because here's the thing. They talk about this movie like it is a reboot. In this, they're like, oh, when you reboot a series, you gotta introduce a new rule, or when you reboot a movie, you have to do this or do that, and it's like, this isn't a reboot. You're literally calling this Scream 4. The fifth movie, Scream 5, that's coming out next year, I can understand them calling that a reboot in the movie, because like, okay, yeah, you're not naming it Scream 5, so yeah, I can kind of see why you do that. They're literally calling this movie Scream 4. It's in the title, Scream 4M. I don't know why they would call it Scream 4M, but it's supposed to be Scream 4. But they call this movie Scream 4, and they treat it like a reboot. It's just unnecessary. I mean, I understand they wanted to rebound after the really, really god-awful Scream 3, and that's not on here because Scream 4 exists. Scream 3 was really goddamn bad. Spoiler for that movie, I should have said this from the beginning, spoilers for every movie on this countdown, most likely, except Step Brothers, because that's the only movie I haven't seen all the way through. But Scream 3 introduces that Sidney had a brother who hired Billy and Jay, Matthew Lillard, and the guy from Riverdale. What's his name from? Ulrich, Skeet Ulrich. Hired them to like kill Sydney's mother and then like try to kill her or something. It was a really dumb plot line from the third Scream movie that they thankfully just get rid of in this movie. They don't mention Sydney's brother once, I don't think, which is really, really funny. I love that they don't, because they really shouldn't have. But at the same time, they just brought in more characters. That's my issue with the Scream movies past the first one. Because the first movie, they're all new characters. You know, you really don't know who could be the killer. And I'm not going to spoil that movie. Because that's a genuinely good movie. Actually, I technically did, but I'm not going to spoil like everything about that movie. But they're new characters that are new to this series, because it's the first one. You don't know who could be the killer. In the second one, you kind of always know, all right, you got this group of new people in the movie, who's the killer? Third movie, all right, new batch of people, who's the killer? That one's really, really dumb. And then the fourth one, as soon as you see Emma Roberts, the Jennifer Lawrence sound alike, and the other one, I immediately thought, all right, which one of them is the killer? And I immediately thought, okay, it's the Jennifer Lawrence sound alike, just because she looked the most like she'd be a horror movie villain, like she would actually work as that. And then they brought in Rory Culkin. They brought in Macaulay Culkin's cousin. Because they couldn't get Macaulay, I guess, or something. And as soon as him and the other guy are introduced, I'm like, oh, they're the killers. They're the horror movie enthusiasts. They have to be the killers. They faked us out with that in 3 or 2 or whatever. They faked us out with that with Jamie Kennedy's character, who they actually brought back in this movie in a really dumb way. Or no, it was the third movie they brought back in a really dumb way because they had him on like this videotape. It was like, oh, if you're watching this, I did not survive the events, and here are the rules you gotta do. You gotta do this. You know, it's just like, oh God, what are you doing? Come on, Jamie Kennedy. Come on, Scream movies. But yeah, as soon as they brought in Rory Culkin and the other kid, I had a feeling, okay, they're gonna be the killers. Because like I said, they faked us out of that in the third movie. So in this movie, it's like, okay, yeah, they have to be the killers. And then, spoiler, one of them's the killer. They actually mix it up because Rory Culkin's the killer, but it's also Emma Roberts instead of the Jennifer Lawrence sound-alike. And I don't even remember her actress's name. She was cute in this movie, though. I do know that. Emma Roberts doesn't work as a horror villain. She does not fit. She fits more of a girl next door drama type of. She doesn't work as a horror villain. She doesn't have the look of a horror villain, is what I'm getting down to. And when they bring it in, when they bring in her boyfriend near the end of the movie, I'm remembering so much of this. I'm remembering so much about these movies now that I'm talking about them. So this video is probably gonna be like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. But just when they bring in her boyfriend at first, I'm like, okay, they're gonna fake us out that he's the killer. They have to, like, they're making it so obvious that he's the killer. That's what they do about Scream 2, 3, and 4, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Scream 3 and 4 for sure. I don't know. I forget about Scream 2, honestly. But they bring in someone that it's like, oh, he's got to be the killer. He's going to be the killer. And then it's like, oh, no, he's dead. He was obviously not the killer. Oh, no, who's the killer? You know, that's the big thing I don't like about the Scream sequels is that they constantly do that. And in the fifth one, I'm sure they're going to do it. But with Scream 4, you know, when they bring him in, they have this weird, like, final act where it's like, it's weird because they have Rory Culkin, Emma Roberts, and the Jennifer Lawrence sound-alike, who I forget her actress's name, I'm just going to call her the Jennifer Lawrence sound-alike. The one who was into horror movies, the girl of the group who was into horror movies is what I'm going to say. They're in this house together. And Emma Roberts' boyfriend comes in, and, you know, or she goes upstairs or something, and she comes in like, hey, where's Emma Roberts? And I was like, oh, she went upstairs. And it's like, okay. And he runs off. And Rory Culkin and the girl who like horror movies, they start bonding with each other because people who like horror movies bond with each other. It's weird. Wes Craven should not have written this movie, unfortunately. I feel really bad if he did. But they start bonding, and that's when the boyfriend comes in. It's like, hey, where's Emma Roberts? She's upstairs. Okay. And then, like, the Ghostface killer's in the house, and, like, it's so weird how they do it. Because Emma Roberts goes upstairs when she's secretly changing into the Ghostface costume, I'm pretty sure. She, like, ends up attacking them. They get into the garage type thing with Sydney, who's great in every movie. Neve Campbell's great in every Scream movie. God bless her. God damn it. She did not deserve to act. She should not have acted this well in Scream 3 and 4. But they get attacked. Somehow Rory Culkin ends up on the outside of the house. And, like, he bangs on the window. Like, let me in. And it's like, no, we're not, because we think you're the killer. And then the real Ghostface comes in. And the real Ghostface sneaks up behind him. And she's like, no, look out. Instead of just opening the door to let him in. And so he ends up dying. And then, like, he's put into a chair or something. Or it's like the first Scream movie. Like, they put him in a chair or something after that. And then it's really dumb. The ending of this movie is really dumb. Because then when, like, her boyfriend, like, he's, like, I forget how they get to this, but he's, like, lying on the floor, and Sydney's down as well, because Emma Roberts just beat the shit out of her. And he's like, oh, I need someone who can fuck me well. Shoots him in the dick, and then kills him, and then it's just, like, so much of this was screaming early 2010s horror movie that just is not working, does not click. It's not a jump scare fest. It's not a jump scare fest, because we weren't into 2013 onwards yet. It's not a really good kind of story-driven horror movie like the original Scream was, in my opinion. Not amazing dialogue, but very story-driven. It's not a gore fest because it's not Saw. It feels like it's honestly trying to blend all three without being one certain thing. Like, there are some jump scares in this movie that would not have happened in Scream 1 and 2, which is funny because the biggest jump scare of the first Scream movie is right at the end. It's after the movie ends. Right before we get to the credits, it's when they have the ghost face with the vroom, 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 and then he stabs the camera or whatever. That's the biggest jump scare in the movie. And it's one that's not even in the movie. You can avoid it if you just pause at the right time. And this, I think they do it again in the second movie, I'm pretty sure. And I think Scary Movie parodied it by using the exact same clip. And then, funny enough, they avoided it in 3 and 4, so the bad movies don't have that big jump scare, which is funny. You know? But I like how I'm talking so much about Scream 4, and we're on number 8 only. We're 20 minutes in, and I'm 3 movies in. But yeah, you know, and there's one scene. It's this scene, actually, where the boyfriend's down before he gets killed, and Cindy Campbell's down, where Emma Roberts spills off the biggest, like, preachy type of monologue I've ever heard that has to have been written by Wes Craven. If it wasn't written by Wes Craven, which if you told me it wasn't, I would believe you, because Wes Craven is a really good horror writer, and it was written instead by the other guy that wrote this movie, I would believe you. Because this monologue is Emma Roberts for 2 minutes just explaining, oh, you don't have to do anything to get famous now. You gotta do something controversial. You gotta do something scary. And, like, it's something that Natural Born Killers did so much better 15 years early in 94, like almost 20 years ago. I'm pretty sure 94 or 96 when Natural Born Killers was released. It's something that movie did so much better. So much better. And it worked so good in that movie because you actually saw the killers' mindset and what they thought while they were killing. And it's a damn good movie, Natural Born Killers, by the way. Check it out, please. I think it's on the top 100 favorite movies of all time, I think. Yeah. And the monologue, like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, God, Wes, why did you write that? Because it had to have been Wes. It had to have been Wes Craven, just because he was, like, 70 at this point. So, like, yeah, and then it kind of becomes what Scream was making fun of in the second movie with the pointless stab sequels. And they do it again in this movie. Weirdly enough, they bump the stab movie counter up to, like, 7 or 8, I forget. And they bring in, like, Anna Paquin. They bring in 2 other actresses who are actors who are, like, pretty good. And they bring them in for, like, a minute. Literally only, like, a minute. Just to do, oh, stab 6. Oh, this is stab 7. And it's like, okay. It's like, the first time they do it, it's like, okay, that's kind of funny. Like, it's the 4th movie you're parodying. That's a good job. They do it again. It's like, okay, you did it again. Then they do it again. And it's like, okay, now we're into the main movie. And then, yep, we're into the main movie. And they would probably do it 4 times in the 5th Scream movie because, hey, this is the 5th movie, so we gotta make 4 more stab sequels. Like, it doesn't work. But it's just becoming what Scream was making fun of and is making fun of in this movie, of the pointless sequel. Because this is a purely pointless sequel that isn't that funny. This is the movie where they try to go back to a little bit of horror, but they have a lot of comedy in there. It's just one of those movies, it kind of relies on following the same formula as the last 3 Scream movies of, alright, set up new characters, or I should say of Scream 2 and 3 of, oh, alright, set up new character, have stab movie, or movies, introduce new characters, bring back familiar faces, have a little bit of tension and a couple deaths of the new characters to wither them off, final act of just, alright, he's the killer, no wait, he's the killer, boom, we think Dewey dies because Dewey always somehow avoids death in these movies. I do like that. That was the one thing I consistently like about the Scream movies because David Arquette is fucking awesome. And then, oh, alright, he's not dead, and the killer's caught, goodbye, the end, boom. Like, I love this first Scream movie. The first Scream movie is really, really good. But by Scream 4, it's just a really, really bad movie. And I had a lot to say about it, so I didn't realize this probably could have been its own video, honestly. But yeah, Scream 4, it's not a good movie. Please don't check it out unless you want to make fun of it like I want to. I might do a video on this movie for a little bit. So, yeah. Number 7 is... I actually got to talk about this movie. The 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it. This is actually the second movie on the list that I have not watched all the way through. I've only seen bits and pieces of this movie. That tells you how bad this is. When I've only seen bits and pieces, and it's this bad of a movie. This is probably the worst parody film I've ever watched just clips of or seen. There are no funny jokes. I have this movie downloaded on my hard drive because I want to do a review of it sometime, but every time I go to watch it, I'm like, oh God, do I really want to watch this? I'll skip around. I'm like, okay, that wasn't funny. Skip here. Okay, that wasn't funny. Skip here. Okay, now there's a fucking dude. There's the Verizon guy coming out of a pregnant woman's pussy, and this is like, okay, what is this movie? And I just turn it off because I'm just like, okay, no, I can't watch this. Genuinely, I cannot watch The 41-Year-Old Virgin. I cannot watch this movie. That is how bad this movie gets with some of its jokes. I'm a guy who loves dark humor. I love dark humor. I love offensive humor. Yeah, I when it's done properly, obviously, when it's done correctly. But there are no funny jokes in this movie. This movie, from what I've noted, from what I've watched, tries to go for either references of, hey, this was a thing. Hey, the Verizon guy was a thing a couple years ago. And, hey, To Catch a Predator was a thing a couple years back. Here's the thing. This movie was put out in 2011, I'm pretty sure. 2010, 2011. It should have come out in 2007 or 2008. Because here's the thing. The 41-Year-Old Virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it. 40-Year-Old Virgin came out in 2005. Knocked Up came out in 2008. Forgetting Sarah Marshall came out in 2008. And Superbad came out in 2007. Seltzerberg came out with Disaster Movie 3 weeks after Iron Man released. I'm pretty sure. Something like that. Like 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. That is a big action movie, and even then, even if they just did what they did on production, was just saw pre-production photos and thought, okay, make it look like that, which is apparently what they did with those movies. These are comedy movies. You can easily find the plot and think, okay, or you can get like a screener copy. In 2008, you should have been able to release this. In 2009 even. By 2010, this movie's incredibly outdated. The only joke that I actually saw from the movie that actually would make sense in 2010 is Dr. Phil showing up. Because Dr. Phil's been relevant for the past, 20 years. You know? Even the 40-Year-Old Virgin by 2010, that was like, really? You're going to parody the 40-Year-Old Virgin? Like, at least in 2006, 2007, it would have made sense. 2008 even. But by 2010, you're 5 movies after that year has come out. And you're 5 years after that movie's come out, and it's like, okay, you're a little late to the party there, buddy. You know, and this movie is arguably actually offensive. I'm a guy who does not get offended, and I didn't get offended myself by this movie. But this is one of the few movies that like I said, I've seen bits and pieces of when I skip through the movie. And there's a few jokes I can't provide a genuine example just because I tried to forget about this movie, barring certain jokes that I know I want to mention in a review. But there's 1 or 2 times I know in this movie where I've thought, ooh, that's not good, you know? And I'm just kind of gritting my teeth because I'm just like, oh, that has not aged well. That's not aged well. Oh, I have the date right here. This came out in 2010, so. Yeah, and the final thing, it's just a really bad movie, I wanted to point out as well. And the final thing before we move on, just referencing a movie doesn't make yours as funny or funnier than the movie you're parodying. Because Superbad, I think Superbad's a really funny movie. I've not seen Knocked Up and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I remember 40-Year-Old Virgin very loosely. It's a pretty decent, alright movie. It's a funny little comedy. But just parodying those movies doesn't make it funny. Here's my issue. They're parodying comedy movies. When you're parodying movies, when you're making a parody movie, I think it's always best to parody dramas, horror movies like Scary Movie 1 was really good at doing, or action movies. You parody either one of those 3. I think if you're going to parody a movie and not just real life situations, which I'm pretty sure what Airplane did is just parody real life. If you're going to make something that parodies a movie, you should probably make fun of a movie not in your same genre, because it's likely they've already done the jokes that you wanted to do. Like I said, just referencing a movie like they do in this doesn't make it work. You know, 40-Year-Old Virgin, the scene where, the 41-Year-Old Virgin, this movie, in the scene where they parody Superbad, where I think it's Jonah Hill's character, he shows up to some guy's house, and then obviously it's a TCAP to catch a predator sting. And it's just like, oh, hey, you're that guy from NBC. And it's like, you say here you're a virgin and all that. It's like, you're just parodying you're not even parodying To Catch a Predator. You're just making a To Catch a Predator tribute. You're not doing anything funny with it, you know? This movie is one of those I would absolutely tell you to avoid. Watch my review of it when it comes out, because I'm going to try and make 2022 the year I finally review The 41-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah, The 41-Year-Old Virgin. It's a really bad movie. Don't watch it. Coming up next at number 6 is Terminal. I forget some of the movies I put on this list, but yeah, Terminal. Revenge never looks so good. This movie, I have a lot to say about this movie. This is another one I want to do a full-on review of. Margot Robbie, Simon Pegg, and Mike Myers. That is a damn good cast right there, and Mike Myers. Where do I begin with this movie? This movie is about Margot Robbie, who's in this like cafe, and like she meets Simon Pegg, and she's telling him about like her life, and like Mike Myers is there as a mailman, and that's pretty much the general plot of the movie until the last half an hour, because the first 90 minutes of this movie, or the first about 50 or so minutes in this movie, because this movie's only like an hour and a half, I'm pretty sure. The first about hour of this film then is pretty just goddamn boring. It's just really boring. The only real like good scenes are when Margot Robbie and Simon Pegg are talking with each other in the cafe, because those are somewhat fast-paced. The first complaint I have with this movie, too much goddamn neon. There is way too much neon in this movie. Every single scene, you get blue neon, you get some purple neon, you get neon right in front of the camera, and you're just like, God, enough with the neon. It's so prevalent in this movie, they maybe should have called this movie Neon Terminal. It would have been a decent title, and it would have worked. A lot of this movie does take place in a terminal, and the movie is all neon. Even the movie title is done in neon. This movie tries so hard to be... It feels like it's trying to be like a dark comic book edgy movie, and it doesn't. The closest... And it especially shows when the scene where Margot Robbie... Like, I forget if she's posing as one or if she actually was at this point. Not in real life, obviously, in the movie. Her character is, like, posing as a stripper. And all she is, she's in lingerie. And that's all they do with the scene. Like, I'm not saying go full on nude, because the movie's R-rated. They could if they wanted to. They obviously don't. But it just feels so hard, like, oh, hey, she's in lingerie, isn't that so edgy? Like, instead of doing anything with the scene, instead of her going in, doing that, and then just killing a bunch of people, which arguably could have happened, and I think would have added a lot to the plot, because I forget the scene that it happens in, but all I know is that they absolutely could have gotten away with her killing a couple people, or hell, even the thing, where it's like, hey, you want some drugs? I see you're smoking some drugs. Oh, fuck, what movie is that from? That's 14 Cameras. Go check out Mr. Gigi's review of that. That's a damn good review. That's really funny. I gotta start quoting that more. But she could just be like, hey, it looks like you're smoking some drugs. And then it's like, hey, you want something else? And it's like, gives him like a pill or something, and that kills him. That would have been pretty cool. That would have admittedly been a pretty cool scene right there. But instead, they just throw it in there, and then it's just there. But yeah, like I said, until the last half hour, this movie's just incredibly boring. It's just really slow. And I understand they're trying to build up the plot, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's a waste of everyone involved's talents. Yeah, the people who have talent, at least. I'm trying to see the director's name down here, and I can't. But Margot Robbie, her talents are wasted in this movie. Simon Pegg is a damn good actor, both dramatically and comedically. He's hilarious, and he's really damn good. And even Mike Myers. There's been points in Mike Myers' career where I've watched a movie and I thought, hey, he can actually kind of act. He's alright, you know? Even his talents are wasted in this movie. Granted what little talents he has. Dexter Fletcher and Max Irons, I'm sure their talents are wasted. And that's a plot line I didn't even mention. They have a plot in this movie where it's like, they're trying to kill Margot Robbie's character, but it's like she's trying to kill them because like they killed her parents or something like that. I genuinely don't even remember half the plot of this movie just because of how bad the last half hour is. I already mentioned too much neon. The forced plot twists just for the sake of having a twist or many twists. I'm going to go into this movie and explain the last half hour. So basically, there's a certain point where Margot Robbie in the movie is talking with Simon Pegg, and she explains that, oh, there's this, like, bottomless hole that if you go down it, you'll never you know, you'll never come back up. It's kind of like the thing in Gravity Falls where they have that giant bottomless hole or whatever, and then it's revealed that it's almost like Spy Kids 2 as well, where like they both have that giant bottomless hole. And in Spy Kids 2, they actually do a really funny parody of it, where they're both like, how long have we been falling? And they're just in different poses, and then it's revealed that it's just a little fog machine thing created by Steve Buscemi, which is actually kind of funny. One of the funny gags of Spy Kids 2, and Gravity Falls has the same type of gag. But in this movie, they don't do any type of gag with it. They go full out serious with this movie, and that's the thing about this movie. It takes itself way too seriously. It is way too serious to be taken seriously, and it's not funny enough to be seen as a dramedy. It's not funny, and it's not serious. But they mention that, and as soon as they mention that, I'm like, oh god, alright, who's dying down that hole? Who's going down the hole? And eventually Margot Robbie is like, oh, I know where it is. I can take you to it. And so she does. And, like, she starts spewing, like, different lines that he said to her as a kid. And, like, it's coming back to him. And he's, like... Simon Pegg actually is pretty good at acting in this scene. Because he's, like... He's got a look of dread and, like, a look of, like, regret and guilt and whatever. He's actually pretty good in this scene. He's actually good throughout the whole movie. But like, at this point... Margot Robbie's spitting these lines at him, and like she's like just bringing stuff up from her childhood, and then it cuts back to Margot Robbie, not Margot Robbie herself, but like a little girl as Margot Robbie, and Simon Pegg in this really bad hairpiece and this really bad like mustache that they gave him, which is weird because he has a mustache in this movie. You can see it in the poster. He has a mustache and a beard. They could have just used that, I'm pretty sure. And like he's yelling at her or whatever. And it's like it's implied that she was sexually assaulted by Simon Pegg when she was young. And then it's just like Margot Robbie's like standing in front of him, and he's still in front of this hole. Because I think she has a gun pointed on him. But she's just like, oh, you know, they've waited all these years, and now I can finally do this. And then she just, like, kicks him down the hole 300 style. Or she pushes him or something. And it's just, like, the funniest thing in the world. And the movie keeps going. The movie keeps going. Because I'm pretty sure that the two bad guys are killed at this point. I'm pretty sure. If they aren't, I forget at this point, though. But the movie keeps going. Because they have to address... Why was Mike Myers in this movie? Mike Myers had like 3 scenes where he was just hoisting his little mail cart, walking by Margot Robbie and Simon Pegg. Oh, hello. Oh, how you doing? I'm Shrek. He doesn't do the Shrek voice in this movie, unfortunately. But then there's a scene where like Mike Myers is doing his normal mail route or something, and then like all of a sudden, I genuinely forget what happens a lot about in this movie. But he's like in this like chair, and Margot Robbie's like standing in front of him. He's like tied down to this chair. And Margot Robbie's in front of him, and she moves, and there's fucking 2. She turns into twins. And it's revealed that Mike Myers is their dad. Mike Myers is their dad, and they have him tied down for a reason. They get this long-ass drill thing, because they're gonna give him a fucking sobotomy. This movie's hilarious to talk about. I don't even think I hate this movie. I think it's just so funny how bad it is. But they get him down, they're holding his head, he's trying to struggle out, and they eventually do. And I'm pretty sure the movie just ends with like a shot of Mike Myers' face as he has the lobotomy done to him. And it's the funniest ever ending to a fucking movie. I gotta review this movie. Oh my god, I don't even think I hate this movie. I don't know why this movie's on the countdown. I just wanted to talk about, oh my god, and I just wanted to talk about this movie, and that's the point I added, is a laughably bad ending, and it was too confusing to understand. I don't know if it's because I was just laughing so hard throughout this movie, especially the last half an hour, because I was watching it with my best friend, or if it was genuinely just really confusing, or if I was just stupid, but this is a really, really bad movie. And I want everyone to watch it. Just the last half hour. Go from about the 50-minute mark of the film, I'm pretty sure, and just watch from there. Just see how bad this movie gets, because it's hilarious how bad it is. All right. I'm going to come back. I'm going to cut here. It's already been 40 minutes. I'm going to cut. I'm going to come right back because I don't want to lose this file. We'll talk about the rest of the movies in a minute. I'll be right back. Jesus, oh my God, this is a great countdown so far. I hope you guys are enjoying it. All right, we're back. I was just having a little laugh off screen by myself with how bad Terminal is. Coming in at number 6, I'm pretty sure we're at. I think number 6 is Bohemian Rhapsody. Sorry, this is number 5 actually. Bohemian Rhapsody. In my opinion, there was way too much hype about Rami Malek about this movie. I will argue the Live Aid scene should have been the only thing made of this film. The way they remake Live Aid was really damn good, and it sucks that it's the last 15 minutes of this movie, and that's the only good part of this film, is the Live Aid shit. Very obviously sloppy editing, obviously it's been parodied to hell and back. It's been parodied to hell and back. There's various videos of it. It won the Academy Award for Best Editing, which shows you how much of a joke the Academy is. Poor casting choices. I thought, just because they look the part doesn't mean they can act it. And a lot of the guys really couldn't. Like the guy who plays Brian May looks exactly like Brian May. Just could not act in this movie. I thought he wasn't great. It's very much the cliched musical biopic where the hero is, where the main character of this film, Freddie Mercury in this case, he's this overpowering, or not overpowering, no, the word would be overbearing. This overpowered musical genius who can never do anything wrong. His parents just don't understand him. His bandmates don't understand him. Nobody really understands the pure genius of Freddie Mercury. When it's like, he just made good music. He's not fucking Gandhi or anything, But they changed too much the story of Queen and Freddie Mercury. There's been videos done. And, just look up, Bohemian Rhapsody, not biography, but it's, something like Bohemian Rhapsody analysis or something. People have explained they've changed a lot about the story of Bohemian Rhapsody. And, here's the thing. The one thing I understand, I like that they move Live Aid to after Freddie Mercury is, revealed to him that he has AIDS. That is the one thing I do really like. Is that the movie does end on this really high note with Live Aid after he's been revealed to have AIDS. That's the thing I don't like. That's the thing I really like. A lot of the other changes they make are just changes to make changes, Walk the Line, I'm pretty sure, changed a lot of shit about that movie too. But at least with that movie, it was like, okay, you can kind of believe that these events would happen in this order, But yeah, the surviving members of Queen kind of made Freddie out to be the bad guy in this movie with how much he was partying and whatnot. I don't think there's necessarily an issue with that as long as you're making sure you're safe and whatever. And the surviving members of Queen also ruined a Sacha Baron Cohen Freddie Mercury movie. And ruined any potential for an interesting movie about Freddie Mercury that we're probably not going to get until the surviving members die. We're probably not going to get that for another 20, 30 years. A Sacha Baron Cohen movie. There's rumors that Freddie Mercury, between sets, would suck dick between sets. That would be fucking hilarious to see. And Sacha Baron Cohen could do that. Sacha Baron Cohen could do that. There's other wild and crazy and ridiculous stories about Freddie Mercury out there. That would be believable and would be great to see in a film like this. By the way, my face is incredibly orange. Yeah, apparently I have to hold my hand like this, otherwise my camera's gonna go back to the straight up orange. So I'll try and hold my hand like this for the rest of the video, at least one of them. But yeah, this movie is not great. There's really not much I have to say about this. Whatever, if it's orange, whatever. You guys are probably watching this in the background, anyways. There's really not that much to mention about this film. It's a lot of wasted potential. It had potential to be a really good movie, but it just isn't. So yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody, just kind of avoid it, I guess. You guys don't really have to check it out. It's a pretty bad movie in my opinion. Coming in at number 4 is, oh god, here we go, Unfriended. Unfriended. Alright, there's one thing I really wanted to talk about this, and I'm gonna save that for a few minutes. This is probably the worst horror movie I've seen. I mean, movies that are actually in the horror genre. There's worse movies I've seen that could be considered horror with how bad they are. There's no good scares in this movie. There's 2 scenes where they tease that there's gonna be good scares. The opening scene where Mitch and Blair kind of, as the YMS put it, they're blue balling each other, and Blair uses her demon voice, and it's they could have brought that back up later. Because, like, when they brought that up, I was like, okay, she's going to get possessed, and they're going to bring that voice back up when it's, like, they're the final two or whatever. And then they just don't. They kind of forget about the voice. There's, like, some of the concepts they do with the internet and, like, having, oh, this movie's filmed from the perspective of the main character's computer screen has potential. And, like I put here, it's a waste of potential for a film concept. It's a very, very wasted potential for a film concept, and they could have done so much more with this film that they just didn't. They kind of chose the laziest way to do it of just, hey, let's do this and this. Wait, no, that's too hard. Let's just do this. And, you know, the best way I could describe this film, go watch YMS's review of this movie. It's a 3-part film. It's pretty much a full-length film. It's a 3-part series reviewing this movie and kind of analyzing everything wrong with it. It's an incredible 3-part series. I laugh so much during it. It's really damn funny. Then, go check out what Mr. Gigi's review of the sequel, Unfriended Deep Web or Dark Web. I think it depends on which region you're on. But it's those both really funny reviews, and if Unfriended 3 ever gets made, maybe I can slide in there and for the threequel. No, but go check those guys out. And I'm going to talk about my theater experience to end this segment. I saw this movie with my uncle. And he knows, if he's ever watching this, which I find it really weird if he was, but if he's watching this, I hope he remembers this. But we saw Unfriended together, 2015. This is after some personal issues had taken place with myself, and I really wanted to see this movie because I thought, oh my god, there's a horror movie based on the internet. They could do so much with this concept. Even back then, I was like, okay, they can do so much with this movie. This could be really good. And even at school, actually, I think I saw this in October of 2015. So many of my classmates, people that I was in classes with, different classes with, wanted to see this movie, you know. And I remember a group of people I was talking to, and like, oh, we're going to go see Unfriended this week. I was like, oh, really, Unfriended? Cool. I guess I want to see that too. I hope you guys have fun with it. There's so much weird little things I remember about the hype to this film that it spread a lot. But my mom brought me and my uncle to see this movie. Because keep in mind, I'm like 13, 14 at this point. I'm like 13, 14. We're in the theater, and we get our popcorn and our drink or whatever. And we're just talking, whatever. Like, oh, how do you think the movie's going to be? Walk into the theater. I think it was Theater 3. And I might have my ticket, but I don't think I do, actually. I might, but I doubt it. We walk into the actual theater where the movie was taking place. Fucking empty. Completely empty. We are the only 2 people in this screening of Unfriended. We are the only people that did buy tickets. We were the only 2 people. Genuinely. We were the only people that were in that theater for Unfriended. And as soon as I looked around and I saw no one was here, I just went, oh shit. I just thought to myself, oh no, this is going to be bad. Because realistically, if a movie is really good and it's getting a lot of hype, you tell your friends about it and they go see it. Now, obviously, they might not have wanted to see it on I think it was a Thursday at like 5 p.m. But still, there's going to be 1 or 2 other people at least. We were the only people in that theater. And it's so surprising because still to this day, even with COVID going on, that is the only ever time I've been in a theater and it's been completely empty except for me and whoever I was with, which in this case it was my uncle, because I think my mom went to go, I think she saw another movie, I think it was like John Wick or something, which, no, because that was 2014, she went to go see something else, maybe I think the new Fast and Furious, yeah, it's the new Fast and Furious, because I remember after the movie, me and him had to wait like 20 minutes or something, outside, but we get into the theater and we're just talking, like, not like this loud obviously, but we're talking, we're having a conversation like this, and we're allowed to talk as loud as we want, because no one's in here. You know? And I'm just like, hey, I guess we could talk out loud during the movie. He's like, yeah, I guess so. Movie starts. Every single time they're teasing a jump scare, I'm just like this. Because back then, I would not do jump scares. I don't do jump scares now. I don't watch jump scare filled films because I like films with an actual plot and films that are actually interesting. You know? But every single time they would do that, and it would be revealed that, like, oh, or every time it would happen, it's like, you know, like, you know, when every time everything gets really silent and they're building up to, like, click the fucking link, dude. Like, that's the biggest one that I can remember right now. You know, every time they do that, like, I would buy into it because I was, like, 13, you know? And so I was like, oh, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen. awesome, I'd be that, but, for the final jump scare where Blair is, like, about to die, and, like, the computer camera goes down, there's still the camera, and the ghost just, like, pops out of the camera, I should say. That is one of the laziest endings to a movie ever. Just, oh, she dies, ghosts pop out, ha ha ha. And they don't follow up on it in the sequel. They don't bring up Laura Barnes. I don't think they bring up Laura Barnes at all. They don't bring up what happened in this movie. It's just, hey, second Unfriended movie. The first one was successful. You'll like this one, right? You'll buy into it, right? Right? And then I got the sequel for $1 on Blu-ray. And then I bought the original because I liked it that much at the time for $15 at Walmart. And then it was stolen from me in the Great DVD Heist of 2020. Fuck me. But yeah, and then after the movie, me and him were outside of the theater. We were just talking about, oh, that was a really good movie, right? And he was like, yeah. Something tells me, and I'm going to ask him this the next time I see him if I can remember, how bad did he really think the movie was? Because I'm guaranteeing he was just saying, yeah, I thought it was pretty good too, just so I wouldn't be like, oh, why didn't you like it? And be disappointed. But Unfriended was really fucking bad. Unfriended was a really bad movie looking back at it, and it's really bad. Don't watch it unless you want to make fun of it, and even if you do, torrent it. Ironically, torrent this movie. Do not buy an actual physical copy. Don't support the fucking people who made this. Do not support Jason Blum. Don't support Jason Blum, or Blum, whatever the fuck his name is. Blumhouse, apparently, is what it's called now. But yeah, Unfriended. It's a bad movie. And then we're into the final three. I don't want to press this next button. I don't want to press the button that says next in playlist, because I know what it's going to bring me to, and I don't want to talk about any three of these movies. But fuck it, we're going to have to. My number 3 most hated film, The Happy Time Murders. Where do I begin with this movie? Firstly, the tagline, sex, murder, puppets. There's barely any sex in the movie, thankfully, because I don't think anyone wants to see puppet sex. Murder, there is a lot of murder. Puppets, there are a lot of puppets. This is a really bad tagline. Like, it's genuinely just sex, murder, puppets. Like, there's nothing funny for the tagline, Like, I guess you could say, oh, sex, murder, puppets. Like, I guess, like, the puppets would be funny. But if you're already looking at the poster, you're like, oh, okay, they're puppets. This movie, in my opinion, doesn't really benefit from using puppets. This is the only film I did not script. I'm completely unscripted here, by the way. This is a movie. This is a crime drama. Not crime drama. It's a crime movie. It's a crime comedy film. It's a buddy cop movie about Melissa McCarthy. Who? Yeah, I got it off, boys. I got it off right away. But Melissa McCarthy and this puppet, and they were buddy cops like 20 years ago, and now Melissa McCarthy is still in the force, and the blue puppet guy is like retired, and like what they're trying to do is like, he was a part of a TV show, or like there was a TV show that had puppets that were his friends, and they start getting killed off, and so he comes out of retirement to join Melissa McCarthy to solve the murders. It's a really goddamn bad movie. The plot makes it just sound, oh, it's just a really generic bad buddy cop movie. What's so bad about it? The fact that Melissa McCarthy's in this doesn't help. The idea in any Melissa McCarthy movie is not good. I don't think she's ever been in a good movie or a show that's been good. But she, in this movie, is incredibly unfunny. Everyone in this movie is incredibly unfunny. They bring in the black guy from The Office, it's called hentai, and it's art. They bring in that guy who's really funny. He can be really, really funny. They bring in Maya Rudolph, who has her moments here and there. She can become somewhat funny. She's in Inherent Vice, I think she's in. She's in that scene for like she's in that movie for like 2 scenes, and it's like, all right, you've got 2 scenes, you're all right in those, Because she doesn't do much. She's just a secretary that Joaquin Phoenix sees for like 2 scenes. not like sees, like goes out on a date, but she just literally just sees him. He literally just sees her pretty much. The guy who voices the blue puppet is really bad as well. Everyone in this movie is really bad. The fact that they got Jim Henson's son to do this. That Jim Henson, who made the Muppets, and I think he made Sesame Street, he made all these iconic puppets. His son comes in and makes Happy Time Murders. Please create a third generation so you can not die. So you can retire. I was gonna say die, Jesus Christ. So you can retire Jim Henson II. Whatever, Jim Henson Jr., whatever your name is. But this movie's genuinely super bad. It's not super bad, it's super bad. Dad, Jesus, like genuinely, I don't even know what to talk about this movie. All the jokes miss completely. The weird twist they have where it's like, it's weird because like the blue puppet in this, the main puppet character, is like there's parts where like he could shoot people and he chooses not to. So Melissa McCarthy has to, and then there's like a part at the end where it's like revealed that like when he tried to kill a bad guy by shooting him, he accidentally killed a baby puppet or something like that, or like the bullet took a bunch of deflections and hit a mother and like the baby got ran over by a bus or something like that. I don't know why they brought speed into this, but like there's that scene at the end where they mention that, and then it's like, oh, the reincorporation, aren't we a smart movie? And like he does it, and obviously he saves Melissa McCarthy, but he ends up shooting her in the shoulder as well. It's a really bad movie. A lot of the puppet deaths, those are probably the best thing about this movie. I don't know why. There's just something so satisfying about me. There's something so satisfying about me. It's just so satisfying to me to see puppets just exploding and like cotton going over. It just looks visually and aesthetically pleasing to me for some reason. But it was just like, oh, that's kind of a cool visual. You know, it's not like yes, I like that. It's just, oh, I like that visual. You know, it's just something that I like visually. You know. God damn it, people are gonna draw a fucking Rule 34 of that, aren't they now? Please don't. Please genuinely don't. You will get banned. Probably. Depending if I like it or not. No, but, you know, the countless sex jokes that they try to make in this movie just don't work. None of them really hit. A lot of the jokes are just, hey, this sex act is a thing. You know, it's just weird. There's a scene where the characters, I think it's just Melissa McCarthy actually, I think, or it might have just been the blue puppet. I think it was the blue puppet actually. He goes into like this, I don't know if they made it like it's supposed to be a porno store or if it's just a regular store, but like the owner of it like ends up going to the back, and like there's this puppet milking a cow, like straight up just milking a cow puppet, and like that's supposed to be seen as sexual in this movie. It's really weird, and obviously it's like being filmed, so like the back, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a regular like comic book store or something, and in the back it's the porn section or whatever, and like they have that as a joke, just the visual as a joke for about a minute, and after the first like 2 seconds, like, oh, that happened, oh, okay, that's there, and then like they keep it in the background. It's like, okay, you're gonna do something else with this, you know, and they just don't. The blue puppet leaves, the guy gets shot, the other two get shot, and that's kind of the end of the scene. You know, there's not really a big joke with it. Not like, oh, the killer dude gets involved and then he kills him. Like, that would at least have a little bit of potential to be funny. Like, no, it's just, oh, all right, he leaves and boom, they're all dead, you know? This movie doesn't work on any regard. It's my best friend fucking hates this movie. This is her least favorite movie of all time. It's only number 3 to me because I find it so funny how much she does hate this movie, and I hate it too. It's god awful. But I just find it really funny how much she hates this movie. That keeps it from being number 1 or 2 for me. Probably number 2, because number 1, I cannot stand the number 1 movie on this list. But Happy Time Murders just isn't a great movie in any regard. Unless you're going by how bad a movie is, which in that case, it's one of the greatest, I guess. But it's just a really bad movie. Please avoid it as much as you can. Number 2. This is a movie that I don't want to talk about. I've mentioned it on stream several times, if you guys watch my streams. And I've also talked about it, I think, in a couple videos. But, yeah, number 2. is the 2016 Ghostbusters. Again, Melissa McCarthy, the female SNL cast members that aren't funny, Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, I don't know if there's any relation to Nate, and Leslie Monkey Jones. Mumkey Jones. Oh, Mumkey Jones, that's actually kind of funny. Mumkey Jones in this movie. I like that. That's funny, actually. That's actually funny. I'm using that solely off the basis that her last name is Jones. Mumkey Jones was a YouTuber, so there's the name Mumkey Jones. I hope this video doesn't get taken down now. It's a joke, YouTube. It's a joke. Leslie Jones. I'll call her Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones not being Chubbs. And if you don't get that, go on YouTube and just look up Adam Sandler Family Reunion on SNL. Because she actually is really funny as Chubbs for the, 10 seconds that she's in that. And even then, that's just her pointing out things about Chubbs and it being funny because of the context of what Adam Sandler says. Adam Sandler can make anyone funny. Hot take, maybe. When Adam Sandler can make Leslie Jones funny, I think that shows you how good Adam Sandler is. The original Ghostbusters cast was kind of disrespected and tortured to be in this movie. Go check out Nightmare's Edge series of videos if you want to know more about that and everything that just involved in the making of this film. Bill Murray is the funniest part of this movie because he clearly doesn't give a shit about being in it. He's just, hey, I'm here, I guess I'm getting a paycheck, you know? He's in it for a scene. Every Ghostbusters cast member's in this for a scene. Bill Murray, the Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, and Ernie Hudson are in this movie for a scene each. They get a combined about 1.5 to 2 minutes of screen time in this movie. And it's just kind of funny. That's genuinely funny how much this film disrespects the original Ghostbusters for what it is. And, the cast members and Paul Feig, creating this movie. And how much they deflected how bad it would be onto the audience. And how bad it would be because, oh hey, you original Ghostbusters fans, fuck you. It's funny because a lot of female Ghostbusters fans came out about this movie saying, oh yeah, no, it's going to be god awful. It's going to be awful. The original Ghostbusters is amazing. And they avoided that. They would constantly use the narrative of, oh, these whiny man baby children, they're the ones that are making this film really bad. And they went after fucking James Rolfe. They went after James Rolfe for not wanting to watch this movie because he knew it would be bad. This is probably the most unfunny pile of trash I've seen. The only humor, like I said, I found was seeing how much Bill Murray did not give a shit about being in this. Paul Feig is probably the worst choice to create a Ghostbusters film. Yeah, I'm very happy that they are retconning this in Ghostbusters 3. I'm not even calling it Ghostbusters Afterlife. It is Ghostbusters 3. And the actual Ghostbusters, I'm pretty sure, are going to get more than a scene in that movie. So, yeah. Ghostbusters 2016, I've seen it once. I want to own it on Blu-ray because it's going to be a funny meme to destroy on a video review of it. Spoiler. Yeah. That exists. Ghostbusters 2016 is a movie that exists. So, yeah. Number 1. I don't have any honorable mentions this time, but number 1 is a movie that genuinely I can't fucking stand. This is a movie that I have seen once, and I don't know if I ever want to watch it again. Not even to do a review of it. Genuinely. This movie is really goddamn bad. And I'm going to explain a lot of it in this. I'm trying to hold off just getting to it already, just because I'm just I don't think I'm mentally ready to talk about this movie. But number 1, and it's a movie that I am regretting talking about, obviously. But it's a movie that had so much potential, a star cast, a really damn good cast, a fairly decent script I've heard. It's just not a good movie in any regards of the word. It's not good in the slightest. It is the worst movie I've ever seen. It is my most hated film of all time. And I'm going to explain it in a minute. But number 1, and I don't want to look at the poster. The To-Do List from 2013. And people who might have seen this movie are probably wondering, wait, Harry, why do you hate this movie so much? It's, like, bad, but it's not, like, that bad. This movie wastes the talents of Aubrey Plaza, Bill Hader, Donald Glover, Andy Samberg, Aaliyah Shawkat, and fucking McLovin. This movie, everything about this movie, I genuinely can't. I genuinely cannot. Like, I'm looking at this poster right now, and I'm getting, like, PTSD from watching this movie, because I had to watch it twice. I started this movie, my best friend had to go to sleep, so I was like, yeah, we'll pause here, we'll watch some other time. And then the final half, it was just like, oh my god, why did we agree to rewatch this movie? Genuinely, oh my god. Someone's gonna make a compilation. I want someone to go in and make an edit of this video of this part. As soon as the poster comes in, just a bunch of guns going off, just clips of this movie in the four background. Just me, just like, oh my god, like I not being able to get over the mental barrier of being able to review this movie. Genuinely, just looking at this poster, it is, holy shit, it is a really bad movie. And the tagline, she's going from straight A's to getting her first F. That is as good as humor as this movie is going to get. So if you didn't laugh at the tagline, you're not going to laugh at the actual movie. This movie, how do I even begin to describe it? Because this is one of the few movies that genuinely, I don't know how to talk about it. This is a movie that is about Aubrey Plaza's character trying to have sex for the first time. Genuinely, that's the extent of the plot. She has a to-do list of what she wants to do before she goes to college, or before she arrives fully into college. I don't remember exactly what it is. But this movie takes American Pie, a plot line, American Pie is what the name of the movie now. It takes a plot that American Pie already did in the first movie of, hey, we want to have sex before we go literally to college, I'm pretty sure is the thing in the first movie. And makes it so unfunny. I love the first... Okay, not love. I really like the first American Pie movie. I think it's genuinely funny. But then again, I don't know if most of that is because I really, really like the script and the movie itself, or because I just really like Jason Biggs, Seann William Scott, and Eugene Levy. Maybe a mix of that, but I feel like it's probably the second option more. But it takes the plot of the first American Pie, pretty much, adds a list involved, and just makes it really bad. Like, I understand the thing of, oh, let's take American Pie and make it from a girl's perspective, but it's really bad. Genuinely, that's all I can say about this movie. It is incredibly bad. It is the worst movie I've ever seen, like I said. Aubrey Plaza, God bless her, tried so hard in this movie to make it work. She committed herself to this role, and she really, really just tried, like, hey, let's get something out of this plot. They really tried, and they couldn't. And I want to notice, as we got to number 1, my face is more and more orange now. Oh, now it's going to go away. But my face is more and more orange due to the lights. But holy shit, this movie, genuinely, I've just been saying for the last 3 minutes, this movie is bad. This movie is bad. And it is. It genuinely is. The plot is really bad. It's a waste of everyone involved's talents. Bill Hader is fucking great. If you guys haven't watched Barry, go watch that show, because it is amazing. And I just realized I forgot to put it on the top 10 favorite TV shows. Honorary mention to that list goes to Barry. That's a damn good show. I don't know how I forgot about it, but he's great on that. He's amazing on SNL. In movies like this, he at least tries. You know, The Skeleton Twins, I hate that movie. It's not on the list. It actually probably could have been, actually. Holy shit, I could probably redo this list like next year. But he's good in that movie. He tries in that movie. Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin, he at least tries in this movie. He is really funny when he's trying. And Christopher Mintz-Plasse, here's the thing. I know I said, oh, I didn't laugh during this movie. I don't know if I actually said that. I didn't laugh during this movie, but Christopher Mintz-Plasse was the only thing that made me laugh because it's Christopher Mintz-Plasse. And even then, it was like a small chuckle here and there when he was on screen. It wasn't even like full out laughing, oh my god, this is hilarious when McLovin's on screen. Because they don't give him any jokes. They don't give him many jokes to work with. Aaliyah Shawkat, she's great as Maybe on Arrested Development, which again, honorable mention to that movie. to that show for the top 10 favorite TV shows list. She's really, really funny in that show. And her talents are wasted here. Andy Samberg, I'm not even a huge Andy Samberg fan or Donald Glover fan, but they've done so much better work than this. Aubrey Plaza has done so many better movies than this. Ingrid Goes West, that is a fucking great movie. I really, really like that movie. I gotta stop saying I love every movie because I'm gonna eventually get to the point where I say about this film. I'm not gonna say it exactly, but you guys know what I'm gonna say about this film if I keep saying I love certain movies. But like, they can do better. Aubrey Plaza in Ingrid Goes West is so good. She gives her best performance in that film as an actor, and her and Elizabeth Olsen are great in that movie. And she wastes a really good performance in this film. Also, I want to point out, actually, look at her character. Look at her face in the poster. She looks 30. They made this movie when she was like 27, 28, I think. But they made this movie, and they made her look really old instead of making her look 17 or 18 like the character is supposed to be. Whoever ran the makeup for this movie was really bad. And it's also weird, this movie takes place in the 80s when it didn't have to. Like, I understand they wanted to have like a few, oh hey, wasn't it funny this sexual myth was a thing back then? But it's like, it didn't work. They could have easily just done it in modern day and have it be like, oh no, that's corrected. You know, like they easily could have done that in 2013 or 2010 when this movie was on the fucking blacklist of best scripts that didn't get produced that year. It's just weird. I don't get how this movie was on the same type of list as Zombieland, which was on the blacklist for 2007. And then this is on the blacklist of 2010 under its original name, The Handjob, which obviously very subtle. At least the to-do list has something to do with the movie without being just vulgar for the sake of being vulgar, which is what most of this movie is. Anytime they mention anything sexual or have a joke involving anything sexual, it's just to be sexual and to be vulgar. And like, keep in mind, I love vulgar humor. I love dark humor. I love a lot of different types of humor. Pinpoint when they're done right. This movie doesn't do any of that right. You know? It doesn't do anything right. I think the funniest joke that this movie gets isn't even because of the joke. It's because of who does it. Bill Hader ends up getting with Aubrey Plaza's sister, the one that's like right here, the blonde one that's like right at the edge of the poster under Donald Glover. I forget her name, I forget her character's name and her actor's name. But she looks really familiar, though. She actually looks really familiar. If I looked it up, I'd be able to tell you, like, oh yeah, I've seen her in that. But gets with Aubrey Plaza's sister, and their parents, who are Clark Gregg, who they dragged into this somehow. And I forget the mother's actor, but she's really good. She's actually really, really good. Somehow. But they walk in, and they tell Bill Hader, obviously, to get the fuck out, what are you doing? And he gets up, and he's just like, oh, hey, I'm what's his name? I forget it, I'm Bill Hader. He says his character's name, obviously. And they're just like, get out. And it's just funny because it's Bill Hader. That's the funniest joke they get out of the movie. Because it's Bill Hader. You know, if you replace Bill Hader with James Marsden from Sonic the Hedgehog, that is not a funny joke. It's funny because it's Bill Hader, and he is so good at deadpan, yet at the same time, much funnier when he breaks character. Watch a bunch of his compilations on YouTube. Not his, but there's a bunch of compilations on YouTube of him breaking character on SNL. They're the funniest things ever. They're the funniest things current day SNL has produced. Yeah, again, gross out humor and vulgar humor just for the sake of being gross out and vulgar. Like, I understand you can't really make a sex comedy without a teen sex comedy without needing a couple sex jokes in there. Like, I understand. American Pie did it funny. The part where Eugene Levy is, and I'm going to use American Pie as the comparison a lot. There's a certain reason that I'm going to get to soon. But there's the part in American Pie where Jim's dad, I wish I remembered their last name, Levinstein, Mr. Levinstein, comes into Jim's room, and it starts out funny already because Jim's just on his bed, just like huddled together. He just huddled himself together. He's just like, oh god, what are we gonna do for this scene? It's like Jason Biggs was genuinely just thinking that because it was pretty much unscripted. But he's just sitting on his bed, Mr. Levinstein comes in and he starts showing him dirty magazines, and it's the funniest thing because Eugene Levy makes it the funniest thing in that movie because he's allowed to go off script, and he's like the part where I'm thinking of the scene now and it's hilarious. Because the part where Eugene Levy just leans over, she's like, hey big boy. It's the funniest thing because it's Eugene Levy. You know, I think that's the part of why I like American Pie so much is because the casting was just right in that movie. The casting was absolutely perfect, where you get Eugene Levy as this overprotective dad, and part of the humor is as well, everyone was passionate about that movie. Eugene Levy wanted to change his character from more of a friend to the stereotypical nerdy dad that nobody wants as their dad, which ironically I would love Eugene Levy as like an uncle or something because he's fucking Eugene Levy. It doesn't help that he's also Canadian as well. But that scene works in that movie, you know, because even though it's a sex joke, it's funny because the actors involved and what it show, not what it doesn't show. It doesn't show any of the magazines. It shows the names like Playboy, Hustler, and whatever, but it doesn't show any of the actual contents. It's just Eugene Levy describing what's in it, and it's funny because he's trying to use all these medical terms and whatever, you know, and it's the funniest scene in that movie. This movie, well, not showing much either, it's in what it describes and what it talks about that isn't funny, you know? Oh, I have a to-do list. I want to do all these sexual acts before college. Okay. That's not a funny plot, you know? You know? Like hell, I'd even argue, oh, hey, let's just all try to have sex before college. That's not even a funny plot on its own. It's what American Pie does with that plot that makes it funny, and it's what this movie doesn't do that makes this movie not funny, in my opinion. I like how I've gotten into full-on analytical mode, by the way, for a dumb comedy that was not meant to be taken seriously, that I am. I'd argue it's a decent concept wasted by the writers. Again, it's not a good concept on its own. Let's have sex before comedy, or in this case, I have a to-do list of what I want to do sexually before college. Again, like I just mentioned, it's what the films do or don't do that makes it funny in American Pie's case, or not funny in this case. It's probably the worst American Pie ripoff that I've seen that directly rips off the plot of American Pie, as I mentioned. But it also kind of throws a slap in the face to American Pie because it uses the American Pie song. It uses Laid by James. And if you guys haven't heard it, you've heard it. Watch the opening to the American Pie movies. The first, I think, 6-7 minutes until the title shows up. You've heard the American Pie song. I can't sing it because I can't reach that level. But you guys have heard it. Laid by James. You guys have heard it if you watch the American Pie films. This movie straight up uses that song. And I know it's not, American Pie, it's not Universal's property to just use that song just for American Pie. But still, it's the fact, if a random drama film used this film, okay, it's a bit weird they're using the American Pie song, but that's whatever. This is a film, like I said, that directly rips off the American Pie plot line, kind of similar jokes to American Pie in some points, and uses the American Pie song in a scene where Aubrey Plaza... It's weird, because the plot kind of finishes like 25 minutes before it should. Very ironic I use that wording. I just noticed. I have a funnier joke than this entire movie, accidentally. But the plot of this movie wraps up 25 minutes before it should. Because she has sex in, like, the back of this van with the guy, Johnny Simmons? I think it's Johnny Simmons, I think is his name. The blonde guy that's all the way in the top right of the poster. That's him. And it's, like, really underwhelming or whatever. But, like, she looks over in the car next to them. Because there's this whole plot line of, oh, hey, let's go to Lake Tahoe. It's not Lake Tahoe, but let's go to Lake Tahoe. I'm just going to use the example because that's the lake that comes to mind. Hey, let's go to Lake Tahoe. It's such a romantic spot where, couples go for the first time and whatever. And it's like, okay, so it's obvious she's gonna lose her virginity there and something's gonna happen or whatever. The song starts as she looks over and it's her parents having sex in the car over, and obviously they're both mortified and whatever. It's just a really weird usage because they don't need to use that song. They could have used any other song. They could have used an Oasis song. They could have used any type of song that they wanted, and they used the American Pie song probably as a bit of a jab to American Pie. You know? Like, I don't know if I'm overthinking this, if they just thought, oh, hey, this is a cool song, let's put it in there, or if they genuinely thought, hey, this is the American Pie song, let's get the rights from James to use this, and put it in there. But it's the weirdest point to put the song, and it just is so out of place. Because the way the guitar the way the guitar starts in that song is the way the song starts is just the guitar. So when it starts, you're like, wait, is that's the American Pie song? You immediately think it's the American Pie song, you know? And it like I said, it's just the weirdest place to put that song, and it just didn't make sense. Like, is it because it's supposed to be referencing American Pie and that, oh, she did something sexual and got, you know, I guess caught accidentally? And then this song comes in because it relates to that movie, when not really, because when the song comes in the American Pie films, it's when something embarrassing happens to the character while he's trying to do something sexual and that regard. But you get what I mean. It just didn't work in this movie, is what I'm trying to get down to. It did not work for the song to be in this movie. It's a giant waste of energy by everyone that played a role in it, in my opinion, you know? And I had a point here. My life is a little bit worse knowing that people thought this deserved to be on the 2010 blacklist and wanted to make this movie happen. People wanted to make this movie, under the original name of The Handjob, a movie. People actually, I might do a review of this movie. Because this movie, I'm looking at the poster and I'm reading my notes and I'm thinking, holy shit, I have way more to say than I can fit in this video. This video is an hour and a half. I'm sure of it, looking at the runtime right now, because I'm talking so much about this movie. I talked so much about this, Terminal, and I think it was Cars 3 or Scream 4. I think both of them, actually. Half this list I talked a lot about. But it's just genuinely so bad. None of the jokes click. None of the humor works in the slightest. Everyone that was involved should not have been, especially Bill Hader. I love Bill Hader. I genuinely watched this because Aubrey Plaza and Bill Hader was in this. I probably would have watched this eventually anyways, regardless of who's in it, just because, okay, this looks like an American Pie ripoff, and I like torturing myself with really bad movies. But with how bad this was, I genuinely, I'm at a mental roadblock because I don't know what else to say about this movie. All I can think of, this movie is really bad. This movie's really bad. Stop talking about this movie. Get it out of your head. Go watch something good. Which is what I'm gonna do after this fucking video is done. You know? Oh, but I had two final notes I wanted to get through. It is extremely cliched, even if it's trying to make fun of teen sex comedy films like American Pie, like National Lampoon's Van Wilder. If it's trying to make fun of these films, it fails. Because it just brings up the same cliches that those movies talk about and just do those cliches. You know, it just brings up the cliches of, oh, hey, there's, not Christopher Mintz-Plasse, it's the fucking, where is he? The guy right above Aubrey Plaza's right shoulder in the poster. There's that guy. I forget who he is. And then there's Johnny Simmons, who already said, the blonde guy in the top right corner. Those two guys are like the love interests, obviously, of the movie. Johnny Simmons is the big one. But I forget her friend's name. I forget. It's like Daniel or something like that. I'm just going to call the kid Daniel. You know, Daniel is the guy who is obvious she's going to get with him at the end, and they're gonna get in a relationship and whatever. It's like American Pie, you know. Except in that movie, Michelle shows up for like 2 scenes before the end, and it actually kind of works. It actually kind of works with everything that goes. If you've seen American Pie, you know what I'm talking about. Where Michelle and Jim just so happen to be in the same area, they talk, and then they end up going to the party together, and everything happens from there. Michelle's only in the movie for like 2 scenes before. It's not that obvious on the first watch that, oh, Jim and Michelle are going to get together. Unless you're like me and you had all the American Pie films and saw them in the posters of every film and think, okay, yeah, they're going to get together, you know. If you're watching it for the first time in 1999 or even now and you don't know their sequels, you know, it's not that obvious. This movie, and I understand if they're trying to go in the, oh, it's so obvious it's going to happen, isn't that funny route? It's really not. Again, funny would have been if she just gets with Johnny Simmons. If she just goes in a relationship with Johnny Simmons and Daniel's left hanging. That would have been actually pretty funny for this movie to do. But instead, nope. All right, Johnny Simmons is gone and whatever, and now it's her and Daniel in a relationship. At the end of the movie, yay, it's like, okay. What else is new? Movie, are you going to do anything original? Anytime it tries to do one of the cliches, it just falls back on it. It doesn't parody it in any way. It just goes back to the same concept, It was trying too hard to be original, but like I said, it fell back on everything it was trying not to be. It tried to be original with the plot, but it just ended up falling back on what American Pie did. It tried really hard to establish itself as an 80s teen comedy about sex, but doesn't work in either being a comedy, a teen movie, because everyone looks like 10 years older than they are, than their characters are. The only one that still looks young is Aaliyah Shawkat, because she's just looked young like her entire life. Like, in the poster, she looks like she's like 17, so it works in this movie. Andy Samberg, I understand he's supposed to look like 25, but he looks 35 because of the hair they gave him. Donald Glover, him as well, he's the only one, him and Aaliyah Shawkat look 17, and it works for their characters. The movie is not good. The simplest way to put this movie is if you took, I have one right here, a Pepsi can, or Pepsi bottle in this case. You took a Pepsi bottle, you put it out in the hot sun for a week. You brought it in, you put it in the freezer, you made it pretty cold, you took it out, peed in it a little, you spat in it a couple times throughout the week, you dumped it into another bottle with some milk or something, you dumped it back in, and then you left it out in the hot sun for another week, and then you brought it back in, and you drank it all down, and you thought, hey, it had the Pepsi context, it had the consistency of Pepsi. That's the best thing I can say about this movie. It has the basic elements of a movie, but it doesn't really work as a movie. It's not really... It's terrible. It's god-awful is the best way for me to describe this movie. It just... Again, the mental barrier. I cannot talk about this movie for more than 5 minutes without needing a small break to just refresh my brain. But just, it's this movie, like I said, it has the basic formula to be a movie. It has actors, it has crew, it has a director. It was screenwritten. It was written for the screen. Just all these different things. It has the basic outline of what would be a movie. But everything about it just falls apart on screen. It falls apart on screen. With every joke and every sexual reference and everything in this film just is god awful. And I don't want to watch it again. But I've already said I'm gonna do a review of it. So who knows? Maybe I'll do a sex comedy month or a parody month. I'll review this 41-Year-Old Virgin. And I'll find one other movie to review. Maybe. I'm no guarantees. No guarantees. Maybe for 2022 I'll do that. If you guys show enough support for the thing, if we, you know what, screw it. If we hit 2,000 subscribers by July 8th, 2022, my birthday, if we hit 2,000 subs by then, I will do a teen sex comedy month reviewing the to-do list, 41-Year-Old Virgin, and one other film. I'll let you guys choose even, as long as it's not just straight up porn, because obviously I can't review that on the channel, nor would I want to. But maybe your viewer's choice, if we can hit that goal, which we won't, because we're only at 700 subs right now, so we won't. But yeah, the to-do list is the worst movie I've ever seen. It's my most hated movie, and I don't like it. It's kind of the best way to describe the movie. I don't like it. Is the kindest way I could speak about this movie. But I've been rambling on for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours now, about my least favorite films of all time. Yeah. If you guys have any suggestions, guys, in the comments, tell me your least favorite movies. If it's anything on this list, tell me what your guys' least favorite films are, because I would love to hear what you guys don't like. I would love to hear what you guys like as well, for the top 100 favorite movies list when we get to that. Yeah, that. I'm so happy we're finally done with this video. Yeah, guys, that is gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite, sharing everything, which includes but is not limited to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and everything else. My name's Harry. Subscribe to Puff Club. Subscribe to Johnny Heasy Club. Subscribe to John's Hub Hub if you're a member of the Mod Squad. Thank you for moderating any comments on any streams and or any videos that I post. It is greatly appreciated. Links in the description. Donate to the PayPal. I think I deserve it after ranting about 10 movies for an hour and a half that I absolutely don't like. Yeah, PayPal, the Amazon wishlist, the PO box are in the description. We have the Dono. We have the computer fund goal going on right now. Yeah. Yeah, I also have the Discord, the speedrunning, the Letterboxd, and the something else, the Twitch, sorry, in the description. Yeah, guys, go check it out. Go check all those links out. Don't watch many of these movies. Watch the last half hour of Terminal, like I said. Please avoid the to-do list. It's on Netflix, and I don't get how. I hope it's off Netflix by now, but it's apparently on Netflix. Yeah, holy shit. I forget my usual outro. That's how bad these movies are. Don't watch these movies, like I said, except the last half hour of Terminal. And Scream 4 if you're watching with a group of friends and you want to make fun of it. Rory Culkin is kind of funny. Decent. Okay. Yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Harry Rice, and I am out. Stay classy, boys. Ali Morial. And always remember, no matter how fucking good they are like last year, or how really goddamn bad they are like this year, go Habs, go, boyos. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Harry Rice, and I am out. I'm so happy I got this video finally recorded. I am out, boys. Peace. Hit the fucking sub button. I think I deserve it. Peace, boys. Love you guys. Peace.